Yes, sir, you better believe I'm doing my show Roleplay at the Lyric Theatre on the 10th and 11th of May 2024. The tickets are selling, which is good, and there's a few still available that you can get the very last of the tickets via the link in the description of this podcast. It's the only time I'm doing the show in Belfast, so if you want to see it, go check it out. Otherwise, tough tits, really. Tough old titties for you. The Sly Guy podcast has Patreon. So if you want bonus content, early access, I think there's like 195 extra bonus Sly Guy podcast plus guest episodes and all loads of other shit. You can head to patreon.com/Sly Guy podcast. Or if you can't be arsed typing that in because it's not 22 or whatever, 2002, is that what you say? Just follow the description of this video or podcast and click the link. Subscribe, support the Patreon. Get to it now. The Sly Guy podcast is brought to you in association with Modest Beer. They're not going to tell you how great they are because they're modest. So I will. They are the best beer in the country, in the world, and beyond, in the galaxy. And if you want to know more about that, you have to come back from the galaxy. You've got to come back from the world. You've got to get yourself into the UK and go to their website, www.modestbeer.co.uk, and find out all the beers that they have, all the merch that they have. And then at your checkout, you want 15% discount code. Davy's got your back, SlyPA15 at checkout. That's SlyPA15 at checkout for 15% off your modest purchase. Modest. Gonna get sued now for that, but hey.
I'm the Sly Guy.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Sly Guy podcast with me, Dave Elliott. Hope you're well wherever this finds you, wherever this podcast, email or otherwise finds you. This is not an email, I don't know why I said that. I hope you are well. I'm not, I'll be honest. I've had one of those days today where I stood in too much dog shit. And by that I mean any dog shit that you stand in is too much. I stood in dog shit, I got covered in dog shit, I got covered in dog slobber, and I had to throw my dog in the sea because he got his own shit all over the back of his legs. But my point is, if you have a dog, no matter where that is, and you take your dog out for a walk, which you should because dogs need to be walked, you should pick up the poo. And if you don't pick up your dog's poo, you should be capital punished. There you go, I've said it. I don't think the capital punishment should necessarily be brought back, but I'm not against it. But I think definitely bring it back for anybody that doesn't pick up their dog dirt. Thank you. Also, more beef with the North Down Ards Borough Council. For those that listen abroad, and I know our listenership travel across this is a worldwide show. People call me shitbull because I'm a fat pit bull. I'm Mr. Worldwide. People listen all over the place. But specifically, we're reining this back in, and I'm coming for the North Down Ards Borough Council. Guys, stop there being so much dog shit everywhere. Hey, what about that? Get your dog wardens out. There's dog shit everywhere. We've had COVID. We've had that pandemic. Now we've got a pandemic of dog shit. Stop it. Stop it now. Clean up the dog shit. Pick up the... If you're good enough to have a dog, you're good enough to pick up its shit. That's part of it. And also, while we're at a North Down Ards Borough Council, hey, stop charging people for the parking now. Down in the seafront, the Bangor, stop it. Let parking be free. You're getting rid of all the free parking anyway, and you're putting in a fucking... I'm sure you make a pig's ear of the development of the seafront. I'm sure you as will, because you make a pig's ear of everything. You do that, you take away my free parking, you get rid of all the free parking, then you charge, and then you're giving councillors a fucking 15% pay rise, $2,000 extra. Figure it out. Stop the shops being empty at the seafront. Fix it. Don't touch the coastal path and stop charging for parking. You're gonna fuck with the glorious city of Bangor, and I'm not gonna stand for it. Anyway, that's my rage out of me. All right, North Down Ards Borough Council, yeah, shut up. Anyway, this podcast was a lot of fun, more fun than the day I've had. I needed to record this podcast after the day that I've had, and thank goodness it was a fun one. This guest is a friend of the show, one of my best friends in comedy, and a hilarious man, Sean Hegarty. We had a great time. We were chatting. You know what? We always seem to get a wee bit deep. We're talking about the value of time, the importance of life, appreciating what success in life is. You know, we're talking about parenting. We're talking about kids. We're talking about the man with the world's largest penis. We covered it all on this week's episode of the Sly Guy podcast with me and Sean Hegarty. Check it out. I'm away to rant about the council again. What do you hate there? We're just giving off about sayings we hate. Do you hate like those...
I just now.
Northern Irish.
Sucking Diesel. Fucking suck my dick.
Yeah. You know, I had a neighbour who had a dog called Diesel. and I can't help thinking about someone sucking off a dog. Here we are, demonetised straight away off the bat.
Vin
What
Diesel,
can I
see?
say? Oh yeah.
Sucking Vin Diesel.
Well, why don't they put that in a t-shirt?
Sucking
You know,
Vin
instead of
Diesel.
now, because again they'll put your man from that great show that was filmed here. All right, mate. What are they
Was
called? Line of Duty. That's the one. And he's like, and now we're sucking on his face, but what they should have is just Vin Diesel, like, yeah, that's the arms back. That's the design we want. Now we're sucking Diesel.
Not fast enough,
No.
not furious enough.
Speaking of, I've on the Patreon podcast last week, was looking into the origins of certain sayings. Like, I couldn't figure out why a blowjob was called a blowjob. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, because it's the opposite.
Yeah, because I mean, there are, like, it's a very, like, notorious thing that, oh, I see, the first time I just grabbed it and went, you know, whereas apparently over time it was a below job, like a below
Oh, yeah.
job, and then apparently the other reason is that it blows your mind, is you're like, oh, whoa. So yeah,
It's like, do you ever see as well on like sitcoms and stuff, and they're all, oh, blow me, and you're like, think about what you're
Yeah.
saying, do you know?
yeah, suck my penis.
I love when girls say suck my dick.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's just great, isn't it?
yeah. One of my favourite things, I had a mate who was on a train, and we were meeting him. We're going for pints. I think we're in Edinburgh, Glasgow, Scotland anyway. And he was on the train, and he's like, I just heard the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. He said, what's that? And he was like, these two girls were on a train, and one of them hit the other one in the privates, like a couple of wee smicks, wee millies, in the balls. And she's like, I didn't even need balls, you pure fanny. It's like, you know, it's just a funny way. But it's weird. It's like, I had another mate he's playing five-a-side, and he goes, these two brothers were playing together, and one of them fucking fired the other one, and he goes to them, oh, suck my dick, and he goes, nah. like it was a genuine possibility of a thing to do. Nah, not gonna do it.
A
Yeah,
genuine offer.
yeah, but like, we'll see. I'll show you this one quickly. This will be I don't know if I should be outing this, but we have a friend who one of our best friends, their son had written a thing that he was a genius. So they're like, he'd come home to write this card, and he'd written his name is a genius, and this is we've been spelling her. He's definitely written penis.
Oscar's a penis.
Yeah, there you go. So that was really funny. It gave me a lot of joy.
Did I out somebody there by saying
Yeah,
Oscar?
but
Yeah.
it's okay. You know, we could be be talking about Schindler. You know, don't
Maybe he
worry.
was trying to spell Oscar Pistorius.
Yeah,
You
maybe.
never know. What did you see the leg situation, or was it?
There were no legs, so
Do you
it
know what I
could
mean?
be.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Speaking of legs, Arsenal and Porto. That was a good game.
you
A couple
did
weeks
well.
ago. Yeah.
You did well.
Hold on.
Who'd you get in the
Bayern München. Harry Kane, mate.
here?
I think we'll beat Bayern. I'm putting it out here. I'm just going to say it now.
Yeah.
I think we have a chance. Now. A couple of
They're
years ago
doing
against
well,
Bayern. Nah.
Is it this the quarterfinals, isn't it? Coming up? Yeah?
Yes.
Will this be out before that?
Yeah. I'd
It's
say
a
so.
2-week international break now, isn't it?
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
Arsenal don't play for like another month or some shit. Like.
Yeah. We got a tidy wee draw there as well. Atalanta.
Yeah.
And then if we beat them in the semis, I think
Liverpool
it's somebody
supporter.
else who's,
Yeah.
yeah.
You were
So,
gutted at the weekend past there, United.
Yeah.
You know what? I was gutted too because I love panos. You know, and of course
So
I
would you
text
text
you.
me? That was brilliant.
Oh, I really can't wait for penis or something. Yeah.
I really wanted penis.
Yeah. You're like, all right, mate. Wait till the game starts. But yeah, I just love a penalty shootout unless it's Arsenal. Like when we play Porto, and that's
Stressful, like.
oh Jesus. Because then I've seen like the last time I watched Arsenal losing a shootout, I'd done a gig in Lavery's. And it was against Sporting in the Europa League, and I was downstairs in Lavery's by myself. I think the gig I don't think I had a great one, so I was already a wee bit like. And I just watched Arsenal lose on penalties, and I was like,
Awful.
it's just.
That was me about a month ago. I went downstairs after my set and watched Liverpool v Chelsea,
Uh-huh.
and Liverpool were fucking brilliant. Battered them. I think it was like
Yeah.
4-1 or something. That's when Conor Bradley
Yes,
almost,
yes.
like we scored.
Yeah.
And I had a great time. Just me, and then just loads of like wee
Fuck you.
18, 19, 20-year-olds.
Just having a great time. I
watching
mean,
the Reds.
the exact
Great.
opposite. Just
Yeah.
that's the story of an Arsenal supporter. Never real joy. There's never any Champions Leagues. Never any. Nah, just
Yeah, you
the
come a
odd-
wee bit close, and then
Yeah.
just that's it, don't you?
Yeah, we got robbed in one Champions League final we were in. Barcelona robbed us. Jens Lehmann sent off after like a second.
Yeah,
Hated
that's
that. Disgrace.
I was on a cruise. I got booked to do a cruise, to do gigs on a cruise. And
Oh, why?
I was loving it.
Bet
I
you
was
enjoyed
like,
that.
Not a bit.
Ryan Giggs joke, thank you. Imagine, would you have preferred that? if someone was like, "Can you book Ryan Giggs on a boat?" Would you have
I would
enjoyed
have rather
that more
done that than doing the gig. Yeah, 100%. Because and when I got on, I was like, right, the first night I'm doing this gig, and then the second night, Liverpool Barcelona, first leg of the Champions League. I was like, this is gonna be.
Oh no, I know what's coming.
The gig at fucking shit, and then the second night, Barcelona beat Liverpool 3-0.
Yeah.
At home, and I watched it on like a shitty wee sort of the bed, wee balcony and stuff, and the TV was up really high and the bed was really low, and I was like, this is so annoying. So I got a chair, just a chair like this here, like a wee office chair, and I put it on top of the bed and I sat on it, but whatever way I like climbed up onto the bed, I broke my thumb, and it was like the whole thing was a fucking nightmare. And I went down after the match, I was so low after the match, and I went down to the reception, and I goes, can I see a doctor please? And they were like, you can, but it's like 250 quid. And I was all, I'll be alright, fucking thumb facing the other way. Don't you worry about it, mate. There's nothing wrong with me.
Give him a thumbs up like that. Don't worry. Dead on, mate.
I'll just jump overboard here.
Yeah. I mean,
but
how many
horrible time.
gigs did you do on the cruise?
Just one. And then a guy called me into his office and he goes, can you do more like relatable comedy, like content, Joe? Like, and started naming all these famous comedians like Peter Kay and everything. And he goes, can you do that kind of stuff? And I was like, no. You were sent videos by my agent of what I do. You booked me. I came and did exactly what I did, like all my videos.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't your cup of tea. But I got on in Southampton, and it was all like 80-year-old pensioners.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why the word virgins was in my head there, but
virgins.
Yeah, 80-year-old virgins. Yeah. So pensioners cup. Is that something you get when you're doing gigs? If you see like a load of pensioners come in the room, you're like, oh no.
Yeah, instantly you're just like, they're not going to enjoy what I do. It's too modern.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They need old yarns.
Yeah.
That's what they need.
Yeah.
Old yarns.
So were you supposed to do more than the one?
I think so. Yeah, do you know what? I had lined up about 7 or 8 for the whole year. And this was like March time. And even I was supposed to go away over Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And I had to say to the kids, and I was like, here, I'm not going to be here this Christmas. I'm going to have to go away. And I was going to bring Diona and stuff. I got Diona blagged on as a wee sort of freebie on the side to sweeten the deal. And I was going everywhere, all over the world, this big cruise liner. And then I did that one, and I was like...
Still in the docks in Southampton, they were like...
Yeah. Contact my agent. I was all, see all those gigs, just cancel them, please, for me, will you? Because
I'm
not doing them.
But I imagine, too, it would have been decent money.
It wasn't
well.
even. It wasn't... It was like a... It was corporate money, but you're away from home 24 hours a day for the 3 days or whatever. I was supposed to go... I did something like... I was meant to be on the cruise for 10 days, and I think I was meant to gig 2 or 3 times within that. And I ended up... We went to, I think, Cherbourg in France, and then we went to somewhere in the Netherlands. And in the end, I just got off, and I says, here, I'm going to get my own way home, and I booked my own flight back to Belfast. And I was like, this is just hell on earth.
Oh dear. And then next thing you know, Jimmy Cricket's on. They're bringing him. He would have probably killed.
He probably would have. I'd been right up their street.
Oh dear. But then is it one of those things where you're on a boat that it's the same audience?
Same audience throughout. So I had to hide in the room for 3 days. Liverpool got beaten all, and I literally had like a hoodie up and a hat on. I was just going and getting my dinner, and I wasn't even eating with people. I was bringing it back to my room. I was like so depressed.
That's the worst, isn't it? If you have a
horrible.
bad gig, you're like...
Yeah, because you can't wait to get out of the venue. Do you know what I mean? You're like, fuck this and fuck every person in this room. But I was on a boat in the middle of the... whatever ocean it was.
But then... Ocean. Oh, the Indian Ocean of France.
Yeah.
You are in a world of confusion. What's going on? Oh, fuck.
Do you know what I had as well for the journey? I had Poseidon, the movie, downloaded to watch when I was out. I do it all the time. I was away there last week in Amsterdam, and I brought like 9/11 movie and all with me to watch on the plane.
Why?
I love it. It's almost like you're dicing with death, or you're like,
Poseidon.
Let's have a look at what you could have won. I watched Titanic, I had Poseidon, and I had another one as well. I can't remember what it was, but it was like a shipwreck kind of movie. But
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Not even.
Like that, no,
not gory enough for me.
Oh dear, no, I don't. I think enough misery goes on in the world without thinking about it. Like no, without going. I'm going to boat here. Let's watch disaster films.
No,
Jaws.
I love it.
Oh no,
love it.
planes scare me enough anyway.
How do you feel about 9/11? I think,
I mean, not sweet.
do you not know?
I don't think it's cool.
You look like one of the lads flying the plane.
Alan! Alan, no, it's whatever they shout those guys.
I became obsessed with it. Every 9/11, I try and watch stuff like on the date to do with 9/11, and then I just something takes over in my head. I don't know if it's like an OCD kind of thing, and I end up like getting immersed in content for about a week, and then I have to catch myself on. I just try and avoid it then until
like what sort of stuff do you like? What are your thoughts on on this like
inside job?
Okay,
without going down the conspiracy theory route, I feel like if you want your country to attack another country, no one's going to get on board for no reason. They're not just going to go, "Oh, do you need money here from oil or whatever?"
What I think is good banter about 9/11.
No, don't know if anyone has ever said that.
No, I don't think so. But I like the fact that it happened, and they're like, right, Osama bin Laden, he's a Saudi guy. He lives in Afghanistan. We're invading Iraq.
Yeah. Doesn't make sense, does it?
No. Like where, and then they're like, right, we're going to go to Afghanistan now, and we're going to find bin Laden. Apparently he's kicking around these caves somewhere. They're searching for him for years and years. Where they find him? In his gaff in Pakistan. Like, was that not the first place you go?
Yeah.
You're like, what's bin Laden's address?
Also, if you're looking for someone, is that the first place you go or the last place you go? Do you know what I mean?
Well, if you really look, I go to their gaff first. To be like, excuse me, and like I call for him. Is Osama there? Like, yeah.
Is bin Laden coming out?
Excuse me. But then even when you like the story of how they captured bin Laden, like see all that like covert operations and all, blows my mind how like ridiculous that it is. So how they went to get him, apparently the guy that killed him, he's done a few podcasts worth listening to because it's very interesting, but he was basically saying that they all got brought in, they're like, we have a mission to do, this is the breakdown, and like when they got in, they're a wee bit like, we're gonna fucking, like they didn't know what it was, but they were just guessing, we're gonna kill bin Laden, and they're like, are we fuck? And they're like, no, we are, fucking come on. And they're like, right, so this is the only time we have to do it, we're sending in 2 helicopters, we're doing this, you gotta be discreet. Like how discreet can then out of 2 helicopters, one on crashed in his backyard, and like fuck, you can just imagine them going, bollocks, the one thing we didn't want to do is fucking. And then he's like,
brand themselves.
But then it's like, but then they went they went in, and they like were just kind of told to just obliterate every man, which I mean it'd be such a feminist stream, destroy the patriarchy, all the women and kids, just you stay there, you see a fella, and like there was a woman who the movie Zero Dark 30's based on, who's like was the whole like intelligence gatherer who like had like mapped out what his house would look like if you were in it, so they're almost like they know where to. And apparently he's like, yeah, his son's going to be sitting on the stairs just guarding, so take him out. And they're like, on the stairs or in the garden? No, guarding. No, like, you take him out, then go up and bin Laden. And the guy was like, he walked in the room and he goes, there's this really tall skinny guy with a big beard, and I just went bam bam bam, just popped him 3 times in the head, and then looked at his wife and was like, you're alright, and then just and then they're like, so for those that say bin Laden's not dead, he's like, incorrect.
Yeah, it was live streamed, wasn't it, to the White House?
Yeah.
I think is there like an old picture or something of, it was Obama?
Yeah, that was Obama, but Obama was there with the popcorn. But what I love is the difference of how, like, there's 2 things about bin Laden being killed that was really weird. The first was when John Cena announced it. Did you hear that? So John Cena was at a live wrestling show, and obviously the news came back that bin Laden had been killed whilst this show was going on. So obviously Vince McMahon or somebody was like, they've killed bin Laden, go out and announce it to the crowd. So obviously you can't just go, we have killed Osama bin Laden. So I think the phrase he used to announce bin Laden's death, he went like, ladies and gentlemen, we've announced, and it's like Cannonball, I have a huge announcement to make. He goes, Osama bin Laden has been compromised to a permanent end. It's like, like that is, if talking about being compromised, you don't get more compromised than that. And then when Obama announced it, he did like real like grace, real fucking poise.
Decorum.
And then when Trump killed your man Baghdadi, he was like, he was a dog.
Yeah,
we killed him. He's a loser. And you're like, all right, Trump. But that's like, I know Trump obviously divides people. Like there's some Americans say actually ridiculous, but on the ground as an American things were probably better than they are with Biden. But his lack of, like, it's just, he's like a child, around other people.
Yeah. He's going back in though, isn't he?
Well, I mean,
looking like it.
Looks like it. Like it's going to be him and Biden, isn't it? Or they're going to be, and apparently Biden's just not got any brains.
He's senile.
like
think-
just gone, and completely lost it. But
Yeah.
but I don't know. I didn't know you could go back again if you got out. Like I don't. Has anyone
No.
gone and then lost and then run again?
Not that I've heard of, no. But then once they leave too, they're called Mr. President for life,
Yeah.
aren't they? Like they're.
But they'll probably do something to not call Trump that 'cause they'll hate him so much. You know. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like I think to get to any level of government, you have to be a bit smelly. Like you have to have like, you know, you've got your secrets. You're a bad egg.
Yeah.
Like, you know, to be the president, you've got the power to be evil.
You need to be able to keep a secret, I think, too. I think that's one of the
Yeah.
first things they said in, you know, in the run up to the presidency.
That's why there's no gay presidents.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
some of
true.
those guys out there.
Do you believe in the whole Obama and Michelle Obama being, was it Michael or something, or she was a dude?
I mean, no,
No,
because
even though there's like photos of like what looks like a dick through trousers and stuff.
but also maybe she might just have really thick flaps. You don't know, or a bush,
Or one
Yeah.
thick flap.
Yeah, she could. Just a big fanny. Like but that was what I would love if she just came out with that and it's like, listen,
It's just a big
it's just a big flap. Fuck me. You're saying I've just a big fanny, alright, leave me fucking be, like, can we not?
Vanny's the
Yeah.
best word of all time, isn't it?
Especially if it's
Vanny.
Michelle Obama using it, you know. Listen, say what you want. It's not a cock. It's just a big fanny, you know. Like personally, yeah, it's just
You're on your deathbed, right? A doctor comes in and he whispers in your ear, he goes, Mr. Elliot, I know everything, right?
Mhm.
Ask me one question about anything and I'll tell you the answer. What are you asking him?
Oh, that's a hard one actually. Do you have one lined up? Because I need to really think about
think
this.
so.
Right, go ahead. You tell me.
Where's Madeleine McCann?
Oh no, I hate Madeleine McCann.
Not even.
Not her, but
Oh, right.
that
The
whole
thing.
scenario. Oh, it makes me
Having
so
kids as well. It's
so
yeah,
man.
yeah.
Like, see now, obviously, when Madeleine McCann went missing at the start, I had no kids, and I was looking at it going, "Fuck, the
Bonder.
parents know what's going on there. Are they fucking there in on it?" Then I watched a documentary about it, and it was like the apartment was like not far from where the room, like you could see it, so you'd have eyes on
Yeah,
it the whole
yeah.
time. You'd probably think it was okay to do that,
Yeah.
and
Back
then when
then, especially,
yeah,
you know, back then.
oh, like totally, like I was left all the time, holidays
Yeah.
with paedophiles. I mean, my parents actually were like, "Are there any paedophiles in this resort?" And there'd be one dude be like, "I go like." Look after Davey.
Do you mind him?
Yeah, and even like, fuck, well or not. Yeah, does he have a vanny? No, but he's got a thick. But that was the thing, and then I watched the documentary about it, and it makes me so sad. Like because obviously I've kids, daughters, the same age, and I think as a parent, you compare every scenario to what if that
Everything.
was you and your
Everything.
kids.
Everything.
Breaks my heart.
Yeah,
like.
Because
Oh.
the whole way through that if it's the like series that I
Was it on
remember
Netflix?
when it first
Yeah.
came out, the whole way through I was like, it was the parents, it was the parents, it was the parents, and then I got to like the last episode or two, and I was like, I can't believe everyone thinks that was the parents.
Yeah.
It wasn't them at all. It's
Yeah.
just one of them things. But looking back now, when I just said to you there now, the one question
Yeah.
I would ask, I would be told the answer, and then I'd be like, fuck's sake, why didn't I ask what happened there?
Yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Say I asked, where is she? Whereas if she's in a ditch or buried
Yeah.
somewhere, that still doesn't answer my question. So I
Because
should've-
like he could technically on a loophole give you a really shit answer too.
Yeah.
You're like, "Where's Madeleine McCann?" He goes,
Portugal.
"In the
And
sea."
you're like, fuck.
Yeah,
Now what?
in the sea,
In the
mate.
Indian Ocean.
Yeah, fuck, and you'd be off the coast of France, being like, "What the fuck's going on here?"
Book me another cruise.
Yeah. But there's so many things about like I don't want to turn into Tom Jones there, but there's so many things
Take your
locally.
time, David.
Right.
What's it correctly?
There's so many things here. Like I've been, I love to know about like espionage, and like
At the bar in Edinburgh, no?
yeah. But the like informants, like people are double agents and all. I don't know how anybody could do it without be shitting yourself all the time.
All the time.
All the time. You couldn't trust anybody, anything you said. Like you couldn't drink. You couldn't drink a single because you have a pint and you hear, will you hear this? You'd be like, fuck's sake. And imagine the fear you'd have the next day. Oh no, who have I? But like that whole thing that came out about Steak Knife, the Canova report has just been released, and they basically, long story short, was he was an agent who was like one of the top men in the IRA's interrogation unit, which was their unit to find out whether people were informants or not. And like he would vet them and all, and like basically kill people who were touts. And he was a tout. So the whole thing is like, were his handlers in the British Army aware of people he was maybe going to kill or they were going to kill, and in order to not blow his cover, they were like, work away, like turn a blind eye to him killing people. And I think over the course of the years, the justification had always been that having him as an informant had saved more lives than it cost. But I think what the reports kind of found is that he has been responsible for killing more people than were saved. So basically it's stinking. But I think stuff like that has happened across all governments, across all, on all sides for years. So that's why I like, see now when people are talking about the troubles and the legacy, I think everyone has to go, there's a lot of mistakes made here, a lot of totally fucking bang out of order things have gone on, a lot of dirty tricks have been used on both sides. Instead of going, oh, it's all them or all us, like, yes, they fucked up, so we need to move forward from that. And like the truth's a big thing too, like, you know, like obviously the Boston tapes are a thing that interests me as well. Like, you know, have you heard of Boston tapes? They're
so I'm not too familiar with it, but I've heard
the gist is they interviewed ex-IRA members, and they did like big expose. They outed loads of people, and the rules were the tapes were not allowed to be released until the person who did the interviews was dead. So I think Brenton Hughes died. He was a high-ranking IRA member. I think Dolores Price was another one. And like they have both died and their tapes have been released, and they made allegations against Jerry Adams for being involved in the IRA or whatever, which of course he's obviously denied always. So in there he was like, well, they obviously had an issue with me because I went the political route and they wanted to stay, blah blah. But those tapes, I don't know how many more there are, but they're wild. Like, and all that's been going on, and I just think like it's naive to think as an adult that there's goodies and baddies. Like, you know, when you're a kid, you're like, they're the goodies. Like, one of the big ones growing up, you're always like, the Indians are the baddies, cowboys are the best, and you're like, yeah, the Indian Ocean.
You were like taught racism from an early age,
but then it's like, if you think about it, they're just dudes that lived, they were native of the lands, and these fellas just came in and fucking stole all his shit and killed them. You'd be pissed off.
Yeah. Weren't they called Indians too, but this was like America or something?
Yeah, so the Native Americans is the proper terms, but they called them Indians because the whites came over and they'd never seen any people there, and they just thought they were like Indian people, you know, like proper Indian guys who live in India. They're like, these are Indians. And like, no, but these guys with sweet long hair. So it's fucked up, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it would blow my, like, I enjoy to hear a conspiracy theory, but also I don't like to get into them because I think it could fuck your mind up. You could become so paranoid.
Yeah, there's a big thing at the minute about Nickelodeon. Do you ever hear this?
I actually was watching a video about that, Amanda Bynes, today.
Yeah, there's like a full documentary out. It just came out there a couple of days ago, I think.
Yeah.
So it could be worth trying to find online.
But then everybody's just stinking. Like, there's a lot of just, you know, it's like, I don't know.
Do you think when everybody dies, like when an individual dies, all the bad shit about them should come out?
Because then you're down to Jimmy Savile's territory. You're like, yeah, but then also that piece of shit got to live out a pretty sweet life.
Yeah. In
terms of what he enjoyed doing, being an nonce. And then when he's out, so you're like, you should rather deal with, like, if someone's committing crimes, they should be brought to justice if they can be.
Yeah. And
like, I don't know what, like, I don't think power or like status should ever override crimes. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously Harvey Weinstein being done for everything he's done is proper order, but Savile was horrendous.
Yeah. The Nickelodeon one, I think, is about somebody who almost like Harvey Weinstein, the whole fucking...
Yeah, he was he called? Dan Schneider, he was called. Yeah.
The early 2000s, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think he just, like, I haven't got into the guts of it yet, but I actually watched a bit of that on Twitter, bizarrely, today.
Your guy, I think, Jake and Josh, a fella from that, apparently got it pretty bad.
But it's also weird too when you're full adult hanging about with kids. I think there's like,
I know.
You know, like apparently there's a thing someone was saying like, oh, Michael Jackson's just, he's grand, but they're portraying him in this way because it's their narrative and all.
Yeah.
But it's like that would be something I'd like to know. You know what? That would be the thing. I'd be like, listen, I know you've told me one thing, but could I have a dossier of all the people in the Illuminati and what they get up to and what is the Illuminati? Because I don't really understand that.
I know.
It's like a secret, but then I don't get, like, see if I got into the Illuminati, I'd be like, that's sweet, this is a wee private member, I like the idea of this, bit of nepotism, but also I'd be like, could I not eat children? Would that be sweet? Could I just, like, if possible, you know, have, like, if you want to, like, do like sex stuff and like women with boobs and all, not little kids. Is that sweet? Not wee boys either. Because like, no offense, you know, there. Like if you brought a little boy to me, I'd be like, don't play Super Nintendo or something. I don't want to like see all this like killing you and all and fucking you and eating you and stuff. That's not cool to me.
Yeah.
But then they have people like Bill Clinton's like, oh why, you know, and like see all this living forever. I wouldn't want that.
Nah. Now you live forever where you get to pick your age. Would you do that?
Yeah, but then it'd be shit too, because all your kids and your wife and all would overage you, and then you'd just be there like you. It'd be like, what's wrong with you, Dad? You'd be like, never worry.
Yeah.
And
but
then
only for the first 80 to 100 years.
And then they die, and you get to meet new.
Just
but then it's like, what's your how old are you? And you're like, 203. And she's like, oh, very funny. And you're like, you know,
just you.
Yeah. What's your birth certificate? What year? The year's 277 or something. Yeah. That's conceivable. You could be alive then. Actually, that's shit. The year's 2714. What was your 1987? You know, like, whoa, that's wild. But yeah, I don't know. I that's one thing I don't. You know what? It's weird. I think life. This is the podcast of life and reflection, I suppose.
Yeah.
That the older I've got, the more I acknowledge how short time is. The more I think less about the value of cash, which probably is why my wife gets stressed out, and more about the value of time. Yeah. You know, it's like today, for talk's sake, Catherine's not well at the minute. She's this cough, it's fucking torturing her. She can't sleep. It's been weak for a few weeks. COVID. And yeah, probably, but she won't do a test because she's like, what's that do? I'm like, well,
brings it all back, doesn't it?
Yeah, do a test. At least you know what's wrong with you and fucking do something about it. But like I said this morning, I got up, left the kids to school, went to the gym, was like, right, you need it at the house, let's just go for a walk. So I went and got her, got the dog. Albeit I stepped in dog shit. He spat all over me. I got his dog shit all over. I got mugged for trying to do a good thing. But I just like, we were walking along, we had just a walk, we just had time together. And it's like, I'm fortunate to have that time to just, you know, not be working a 9 to 5 or not be, you know, having the time with that, being able to collect my kids from school, being able to go to a park with them, play with them. To me, that's the stuff that you think you want the money to do, because to me all money really does is buys you time with the people you want, you know. And like,
it gives you freedom,
and that's it. And I think like, you know, I would rather be there when my kids are the age they are, and then maybe like, you know, like you obviously have a sort of an eye on both ends of the spectrum, like in terms of having your boys, like whenever they were young, and then like, did you find you worked more, like had more time to work when they were maybe a wee bit older? Or
well, when my kids were really young, I worked night shift in a nursing home. So I came home from the nursing home, dropped them at school, went home, went to bed until the first one needed picked up at like 12:30, 1 o'clock. So I'd be lucky to have like maybe 3 hours sleep, and then I would get up and pick him up, and then I'd pick the next one up at 2, then pick the next one up at 3. And so I almost feel like even before I get into stand-up, I still got to spend so much more time with my kids than most people get to do, because I sacrificed my sleep. And I feel like now that's coming back to bite me in the ass, because I'm fucking like, I feel like my brain has shrunk. And only recently I started taking lion's mane. Have you ever heard of lion's mane?
I have heard of that.
It says focus on the thing. And I read up a wee bit about it and stuff, and Diona just came home
it's
with
a supplement, isn't it?
Last
for those,
week I took him, a supplement. And I genuinely feel like for the past 10 to 20 years I've had like foggy vision. Do you know, where you aren't fully, you're almost having like an out of body experience where you don't feel like you're fully investing your time in things, you're not fully switched on, you're not all there, do you know. And I feel like the past week that I've took it, I feel like I'm almost like a different person. I feel like it's changed so much. If it's like going into the opticians after 20 years of bad eyesight, and the gauge goes, there you go, here's glasses, and you put them on, you're like, fucking hell, is this what it's like? So I feel like I've started to get a bit of my life back the past week or so. It's been great.
Because I've got something like that with sleeping. Like I wouldn't have done as much, but now I just go to bed earlier, and it's definitely like that's helping massively. But in terms of like your work, because I remember like you even saying like, and it was down, I suppose, my ignorance, I guess, like whenever we were like, I had no kids and you had the boys, and like you were coming to gigs, you're doing your spot, like you couldn't hang about as much, you did the bounce, and like you would obviously, have you been through that, you'd see more of you on a social level, and it's great. But like, I never really understood. It's like, why is he like? And it's like, you do, and you feel like I don't know if I'm speaking for you here, but I've always felt like a real guilt if I was out gigging and I'd done my set, and then I'm like hanging about. I'm like,
you need to get home straight away. Even if they're asleep, you just feel like to
even give your wife a break, or to and then that's another thing. When you have kids, it never stops. So like, I go home and be like, fuck, I need to do Holly's lunch for tomorrow. I need to get a wash on. I need to make sure uniforms are ready. I need to, you know what I mean? And I think that, like, as they get older, like, the two of them now play together, so I can trust them to be like playing with their Barbies in their room, and then I'm like, oh, I have an hour to do like whatever I want. Now it's invariably housework, dishwashing, clothes, it's never, but I just felt like I never had time, whereas it helps. Now, have you found that with the boys getting a bit older, you got time, and then obviously you've started again?
Yeah.
Or do you sort of...
I feel like I was just starting to get things back. I was just starting to get that time back. And then obviously they would be at their mum's half the week too, so I would have that time then. So it was only that maybe the past 4 or 5 years, and then there was the pandemic, and then it was just straight into having kids again. So it's just, because
you just love the pandemic so much.
Just loved it.
Fucking, I don't know what that makes me want to do. Whoa, kids.
Love it.
But yeah, and how do you find now then that you've done it, you've been there, you've done it, you've raised, like, you've one adult, don't you? Or,
one adult, 2 teenagers, and then 2 wee kids.
It's like you've you've done it, job done. But do you feel like now you've learned from that first? But do you manage your time better now? Do you have a better structure? Is it, because to me, nothing's more important than a routine. Like, see, once you have a routine, like, if that gets upset, you're fucked.
I think I've never had a routine ever. I just live each day just as it comes, and it's only since it was probably about a month or 2 before I turned 40. And remember I says to you, like, I've started like exercising every single day, and I feel like that is now, it's like I've started implementing like almost like one thing a month, where I'm like, right, this now has to be the rest of my life, because I used to go through phases where I would exercise when the weather starts getting warmer, or when it gets a bit brighter in the mornings and evenings, so you have more hours to fit things in. And then when the nights got dark and stuff again, I would just stop exercising, or I would go a couple of months on, couple of months off, almost like a boxer. And I got to the point recently where I was like, I need to structure my life here and plan everything out, and just be like, this is like, figure out things. Like, I get such a lack of sleep, so now that's the thing I'm focusing on at the minute, whereas I need to, as you say, start going to bed earlier, which to me was always a punishment, because doing it 3-4 nights a week is like, I'm going to go to bed at 8:30, and I'm like, fuck, you going to bed at 8:30 for, you loser? Do you know, sit up to midnight watching 3 match of the days in a row.
But then you also feel that, don't you, that the time you like, once your kids are in bed, you're almost like, it's like, not
it's now my time.
Torture, but like, if you were to go to bed as soon as they go to bed, you're just hurrying the repetition of that same cycle again. You're like, fuck, you need to have some time.
Whereas I live every single day being almost like, if I take my kids to soft play, I'm like, fucking hurry up and play till we get home. And then I get home and I'm like, right, hurry up and eat your dinner here, do we get a bath? And then they get a bath. It's like, hurry up and get a bath here, I put you to bed. And then they go to bed, and I'm like, fucking hurry up, I go to bed. Or do you know, and it's almost like I'm living every day, just not actually living, I'm just going, hurry up to get to the next thing. And I'd be like, I with gigs too, I'm like, I'd beat myself up, and I'd be anxiety ridden for 3-4 days in the build up to a gig, and then I go and do the gig, and it's absolutely nothing, and I even have a great time sometimes, but then I come off stage and I'm like, right, you have 2 gigs next Friday and Saturday, fucking come on, get these, you know, and you beat yourself up all week again. You're like, what but then ultimately being achieved here?
When you're going back to your deathbed at the end of it all, you're going to be like, what's the one thing that people, like, when, like, I find it fascinating when they do, you know, these interviews with like pensioners or people who are really like, what's the one thing you would change? And all, it's like, appreciate time more, you know what I mean? You're always rushing to get stuff done, you're always trying to do this, but then you sometimes just go like this, because that's what I sometimes say to Catherine, is like, we don't have to, like, just because we're not doing, like, say if we have a day, like, we always like to get out with the kids every day we're there, like, whether it's the morning or afternoon, if they're at school, do something in the afternoon with them afterwards, or if it's the weekend, we got to take them out to here, we could like go out for National Trust, go to soft play, do something. And then so there was like a day a couple of weeks ago where, like, I think she just started feeling unwell. I just done like 3 or 4 gigs in a row, and it was a Sunday. I was like, let's just fucking have a house day. There's stuff we can do here. And then we're almost like, fuck, we need to go out and do something. And it's like, you know what? This is okay. Like, every day, this is just a day. Like, every day in life is not going to be the best day of your life, but you can still enjoy parts of the day. It's the
it.
same about like food. You know, I remember for so long I was going, everything I eat has to be delicious. It doesn't really, you know, it's just, it's fueling you to do. So it's like to find like appreciation in the wee things, I think, is the important. And then like it's never lost on me that my job is to be a stand-up or to be a comedian or to be silly or funny or to, you know, make people laugh. And then at the same time, I'm lucky enough to do that, but then I get to hang out with my kids. And yes, I should slag them off on everything I do, but it's joking. Like, I love nothing. Like, if, like, you know, I think certain people, I think you're in this camp along with me. Like, if someone said to you, right, the same guy that knows everything, weirdly that he's a doctor, I don't know why he's doing all this other shit as well, but if he came up to you and he was like, listen, you never do comedy again, you never do a podcast, you never do stand-up, you never do whatever else, that's it. I'd say you'd go, well, sure, I've just got my wife and my kids. You know what I mean? That's and that's the way. Like, and that's, I remember once having an argument with Mickey about it years ago, and he was like, "Oh, you need to stand up, needs to mean more." And I was like, "It means loads, but it'll never mean more than my wife and kids to me." You know what I mean? And
I feel exactly the same.
And like, see, even during COVID, when certain people are like, "Bring back the gigs, this is a disgrace," I'd be like, "No, go work, go and do whatever you can do." Like, I would happily work. You know, like you could do like Amazon deliveries or something that perked up during COVID. I have no problem doing that, you know, working on a building site, carrying stuff about, doesn't matter, as long as you, because to me the priority is feeding the kids, looking, as long as they're okay, whatever way, doesn't matter. Like, see, anything I've ever done, like if you were to, like if someone said to you, what makes you most proud, as a question, like what would you say?
Your child doing something, you know, achieving something, or reaching the next stage of their development. I think that's it. But the things I'm most proud of is my wedding and my marriage to Diona, and having 5 healthy children that have 10 fingers and 10 toes. Do you know what I mean? Albeit in one hand and one foot, but still, that's what counts.
But like, you don't realise it until you see it. You know what I mean? Like, I also think you're very, I don't think anyone's as critical of you than you are. And I'd be the same.
Specifically?
Yeah, you specifically. Like, if I do a gig and I miss one bit of a joke, like I remember I did one of the Ulster Hall shows and came off and it's fucking raging. And Catherine came in and was like, that was great. And I was like, you would say that? And she goes, well, you know from experience I wouldn't. Like, if you were shit, I'd tell you you're shit. And I'd be like, I know, but I didn't enjoy that. I was like, wow. And I was like, oh, fuck that. And then you should be enjoying those moments more. Whereas I went to see Holly do a dance competition and she won like the most improved ballet dancer. I started crying and I was like, this is the best moment of my life. This is the best.
I know how you're feeling. My son Charlie too, like I went to the end of year school assembly when my son Charlie was, I think, P5 or P6, and the teacher pulled me to the side and goes, Charlie's won People of the Year, but he doesn't know. And I was like, oh, that's amazing, that's class. And then the teacher goes, like during assembly, then goes, it's time for People of the Year. And she says, this person who I've chosen is really helpful to the class, and I just, the more things that the teacher went through, I fucking lost it. As in, it's on my own, sitting down, well, like 200 parents, and I was just like crying my eyes out, but I was afraid to even touch my face in case people started looking at me and stuff then, so I was just sitting there on my own, just crying my eyes out, just so fucking proud. And I can't remember, like I've never felt anywhere near that when I've done Ireland's Got Talent or got my joke book or, you know, reached a milestone in my career. I'm just like, I almost don't give a fuck. It's like, it doesn't, I would swap it all if my child got to have some kind of leg up or just like, something.
And even like when I was growing up, I always thought like everything I'd ever want would be for me, if that makes sense. But then now you're like, no, it doesn't matter. Like, I would happily have anything I ever did eclipsed by
something your child achieves,
you know,
does.
100%. Like that, like, and the very first time I ever saw Holly dance, because again we're sort of going being like, fuck, this is going to be shite. And then because we drop her off this wee dance studio, shout out to Ards Dance Company, they're brilliant, and we drop her in there, and I know it's Ards, and I know people are going to say, but it's worth it, you know. I will bring myself to Ards for this. But you bring her in and you just leave her off with these guys, you know, there's Julia and Ruth, they're the two teachers, and you just assume like your kids will be alright. You don't know what they're doing, but you're like, it's probably just a wee something or other they'll be. And we went to see her first ever performance. She was on a stage, like just a wee vulnerable little kid, and she's doing this dance, and it's brilliant. I was like, how the fuck is she, like, I can't teach her to sit at the table and eat her fucking dinner, you know, I can't keep her trousers on, but she's up there doing all this. And I remember just, and I was like, are you crying? And I was like, yeah, fucking am. This is
Yeah.
just, you know, and she was so proud and so happy and just, oh, it's great. And I was like, you know, I could just, as long as they're, I don't even care, you know, and I want them to
Great
be
seeing them
better than me.
thrive in it.
Oh, it's
Really
brilliant.
is, like,
And that's the thing, like, no matter what, you can push your career and you can want to be X, Y, and Z, but that doesn't really matter. You know, at the end of the day, like, it's great and I love it.
Yeah.
It's great. This job is a dream. Like, if you'd gone back to ask 15-year-old, 18-year-old me, I'd have bitten your dick off. You know, and then I probably would have said yes.
For no reason.
I love it. Yeah,
Just a dick biter, aren't you?
I'm just a dick biter. But
Yeah.
like, that's not part of the deal. But I would
Give me your dick.
Yeah.
I used to hate, and I feel awful saying this, I used to hate putting my kids to bed at night because it was just a chore to me.
Yeah.
Until probably 6 months ago, and then I was like, this is fucking beautiful, just sitting in the dark, and your wee child's just laying there nice and warm in their pajamas in bed.
You fart on them.
Their eyes are closed. And I was going to do a dick biting joke there, but they're really inappropriate. But I didn't go to sleep with dicks to bite. But then you're just that to me is just like wholesome now. And
Yeah.
I even look back and see old videos of my kids when they were like my older kids when they were younger, and I don't know why, but I think it was just the responsibility and the overwhelmingness and probably some kind of mental fucking situation that I never got around to dealing with at the time. But to me it was just, when will this end? Hurry up,
Yeah.
Joe, hurry up and get older so I don't have to do this
Yeah.
shit anymore. And then now, like my 15-year-old son, he would eat his dinner and then he would go up to his room and you probably see him for 5 minutes when he comes down to get something to eat 10 o'clock when you're going up to bed, and you're like, give me the fucking 20 minutes putting you to bed at 7 where I'm making up stories for you about Homer Simpson and Kevin from Home Alone.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like he's just all like, I used to say to my kids, like, give me fucking 2 or 3 characters, and they would go like, right, Batman and SpongeBob
Fritzl.
and Homer Simpson. That's the dick biting story. And I would just go off my head and just sort of make up a story rather than reading to them.
Yeah.
And I used to dread it every night. I was like, I don't know why. Looking back now, I'm like, they're wholesome moments that you should fucking savor. Do you know what I mean?
But that's it. Everyone's you're always looking to the next until like iPhones are fucking mental for that. Like, they'll go, oh, here's a wee video we've just made about moments in time, and you'll be sitting minding your own business, maybe doing a shit or something, and you'll one of these like, oh, what's that? And you just go, fuck, why's my like Holly was I still remember being a wee baby, and now she's like a proper little person.
It's awful, isn't
You
it?
know, and it's like, yeah, it's wild how it goes by. So what we're saying is enjoy the moments,
Enjoy every second, savor it.
because
Yeah.
but that's the thing, like, it's a natural selfish thing to go to bed so I can just have fucking minutes peace.
Yeah.
But like, I enjoy the bedtimes now, but then it's like every time has a challenge. Like when we just got Matilda in her big girl bed, there was a time there she wouldn't sleep, she'd wake during the night, and I actually felt myself losing my mind for a few nights. Like, I'm not getting any sleep. You need to just stay in your fucking bed, because then you're stressed out. You're like, don't wake your mum, don't wake your sister, don't wake your fucking dog, just please. And then she's like, no, but it's morning, and you're like, no, it's fucking, and you can't rationalise a 3-year-old, and then now she just does it, she just sleeps. And yeah, it's fucking weird.
Yeah. Winter would, like, you've obviously met Diona, you know how loud Diona is.
Yes.
Winter is just a smaller version of her.
Yes.
But equally as noisy and loud. And she would wake up in the morning and she'd like shout to you about it being morning time, and you're like, right, but everybody else is sleeping, Joe, let's try and get downstairs.
Yeah.
And you would say to her, you'd be like, here, you're at the top of the stairs, you're like, please, just don't shout, don't say anything. She goes, right, Daddy, I won't say anything. And you're like, no, like, fucking please. So, right, oh, sorry, am I shouting? I didn't think and you're like, and it just continues and continues, and then you get downstairs and the monitor goes off, and
you're like, oh.
Rocky's awake, and you're like,
Because that's what you want.
fucked.
You want the most annoying one that you can't manage, which is normally the weirdest one.
Yeah.
To be asleep for as long as possible.
Yeah.
But then now Matilda comes into me, and it's the sweetest thing in the morning. She'll just walk around and go, good morning, Daddy. And then she'll be all sleepy, and she'll be like, go on a wee hug, and you just bring her up for a wee hug, and then she's like, can I have my breakfast? Yeah. But she's into this phrase now. She goes, no or yes. So she'll ask you a question and then go, breakfast, no or yes. And I'll be like, well, yes, but like, give me 2
Like
minutes.
English isn't their first language.
Like, yeah, no or yes. And it's just like intent, like a mob boss, no or yes. I'm like, well, yeah.
Berlin.
So it's fucking wild. Speaking of no or yes, we have a few questions that we'll wrap on here, because
Play the no or yes game, no?
hold on a wee second. Oh wow. Dear, there's Catherine giving me grief again.
Yeah.
Yes, don't appreciate time. Don't fuck them. No, we're looking at getting a bit of work done in the house, and the quotes we're getting for it.
Criminal.
Oh,
Yeah.
insane! Like, we had a budget that we're looking to but we're looking at a wee bit of an extension done, and we had a budget, and by the time they've priced it and come back,
You need new budget.
it's double the budget, and it's like
Of course. Now, what is this? What are you thinking? Like conservatory kind of thing, or extra bedrooms, or what?
another
what are you
bit
looking
like
at?
a 2-story like extension on one side, like so.
Fucking
Yeah,
good
be a couple of new bedrooms,
Yeah.
and basically. But it's
Do the lottery maybe.
we need something like that.
Yeah.
I need to do more than bite dicks, but like that. Let's see.
Give out sub
Questions.
jobs.
Yeah, but then of my history, they'd be like, don't trust them. Yeah. Once a biter, always a biter. Ray says, afternoon, Dave and Sean, how rough do you think it would be to go about daily tasks for a chap like Roberto Esquivel Cabrera? I mean, that is, I'll Google him.
Google him, yeah.
How rough do you think it would be to go about daily tasks for a chap like Roberto who is this? Roberto what do you reckon he is?
Professional dick biter.
Roberto Esquivel Cabrera. Oh wow, it's appeared on Facebook. Number, let's see, what's the world record? It's a 56-year-old Mexican citizen known as El Centuro. Is the man with the world's largest penis.
Right.
It's 48 centimeters long, 900 grams in weight, and 25 centimeters of gland circumference. Wow, that's a big penis.
Get that dick on the scales there. I fucking don't believe this.
Oh wow, go ahead. I mean, I need to bring a squad to bite that. Like
Is that down to his knee?
that's down his knee. Yeah,
No, there's no need for that.
no need.
He should be dishing some
Oh
of
why?
that
Go
out
ahead.
I mean, why? What? Is that duct tape?
I don't know
Like
why he's
masking
got like it's a football sock. Maybe it looks like he's.
Is it?
I don't know, but is the bell out the
There's no
bottom?
need. He should have to give some of that out to lads with small dicks.
Tell you what he could do. Imagine he's just there at the Devonish, and those lads
Yeah.
are bouncing around. They're like, "Here, wait to see this." Jesus Christ, that is an
It's a big
impressive
schlong, isn't it?
dick. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's being asked of us? What would you get done?
I mean, why is he just holding it? Like with a
The smile on his face. Why is he wearing a girl's jumper too?
I don't know.
That's so weird.
That's so, of all the things, the guy holding his dick, like, and it's covered in like tights. You know what it looks like? It looks like a chorizo. He's trying to sell you, or a baguette, but he's just he's dressed in his mask jumper.
I think the weirdest thing of all of it is that you just saved that to your device.
I did, yeah.
what- just really out in the open. Like, wait till I go. Is this getting passed around WhatsApp groups? Or
Yeah,
you...
I was actually thinking about that might be useful to promote some gigs. I could just put some shows on it or something. Oh, why is he doing it like he's measuring inside leg? Like, look at this. Tell you what, his dick's not. Look at that arm too. That's
unreal.
you know what? See it to the.
Fucking hell. You're saving all of them.
I mean, I just don't know how to. You know what? My dad's on his holidays, and I think I could just. You know what the weird thing about it is as well? Why has he always got tights over it?
Unbelievable.
So let's see what Ray wants to know. How rough do you think it'd be to go about your daily tasks? You know what? From looking at the photos and smiling his face, doesn't look tough at
Happy
all.
enough. Yeah. Would you leave the house? Like, it's one of them things. It's too big. It would embarrass you. Wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
but you know what? If people knew you had a big piece like that, you just go about and be like, "There's fucking big dick Roberto."
But isn't it mad too that it's like classed as this amazing thing? And this sounds like something somebody with a small dick would say, but but like, what's the big deal? Do you know what I mean? What's everyone craves having a big fucking massive dick, but what for what? Like, you don't get to choose it. Do you know what I mean? You don't, like, people are he's a tiny dick, and again, I sound like someone who's like going back into a drawer in my brain here that hasn't opened since I was in secondary
You
school.
were talking earlier about stuff you didn't deal with when you were younger. Maybe that's it. You Sean's Pindick Hegarty. Like, well, it's just the character's name.
But it's like, what, like, nobody works hard to grow a bigger dick, or do you know what I mean? It's just you're born with it, and that's it.
Listen, that's what I'm trying to do. Forget about me spending time with the kids. Fuck all that shit. Now I'm looking to have the dough to extend
figure
my
it out.
piece. Like, people are like, go to Turkey, Dave, get a hair transplant, get your teeth fixed. Nah.
You get your dick bigger.
Walt. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, don't they equate a big cock with sexual prowess, don't they? Like apparently a big penis can pleasure a woman better, allegedly, but you know,
to a certain extent, I think. And then it's just too big. You can't put half it in. What's the point in that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like he's probably quite sad. I mean, his face doesn't look sad. He looks like he's having the best time of his life.
Like, where's that going? That's going into a fucking giraffe's arsehole. That's, do you know what I mean? There's no woman's going to take that.
No, but then like you couldn't even like it's like a bigger sub. It's like 2 subways side to side.
You wouldn't even get your mouth around it. What's the point? Do you know what I mean? Not worth it.
You know what?
Rule me out.
How rough do you think it would be? Yeah, you think pretty rough then?
Yeah, it'd be pretty rough.
Know,
yeah.
I think it'd be pretty rough. But you know what? I'm sure you get used to it.
You start getting a wee, your mind wanders, and before you know it, you have the thing tucked up your t-shirt. Do you know what I mean? Because you've took a big stunk on.
Right. It's like this.
You're resting your head on it.
That's what I would do. I would get like a key, like a violin case or something, and like hollow out the bottom and just pretend I'm fucking always in it. You know, I mean, imagine a surprise if you just I'm a mariachi, and they're like, "Oh, cool, we've lost the third member," and you're like, "Oh no." You know, I've got a member, but I'm not the member you need. No.
Imagine the old cinema trick where you're fucking it's in the popcorn, but it's like sticking right out the top of a large popcorn. There's no hiding that thing. Do you know what I mean?
No, and it'd be like you'd have to actually go around it to me, and it'd be like a tree. Sorry, Roberto, do you have a route? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no thanks. I'm happy enough.
Yeah, but then it's like, you know, like, I don't know, I've heard you hear like these, are they urban legends or whatever, about guys whose dicks are so big that when they get a hardener, they get dizzy, you know? Like, he must just die if he gets it right. Like, there's no, like, his body must be drained of all blood. But I don't know, because like the socks he's on it are like, you know, those socks that you wear on airplanes so you don't get DVT, deep vein thrombosis.
Yeah. They're like the school socks that girls used to have in the 90s when they were like, Joe, you'd pull it the whole way up your leg and then you'd put it down and there'd be like just rolls and rolls and rolls. That's what his foreskins must be like.
I don't even know if he has a foreskin. I'll say
fucking 8 skin.
Yeah. Lyle says, "Oh, well, sorry. Thanks for the question, Ray. Ray's a man in his photo as well. Looks chuffed to ask that question as well."
He's probably got a big fucking panther leg on him too.
But how much has he enjoyed the fact that we didn't know who Roberto Esquivel Cabrera was? Yeah. And he's sitting there going, they're Googling it. Yes, there you go. Lyle says, "I'm becoming a dad for the first time in July." He said more. "Any advice to expectant parents or what I can do to help my pregnant wife in the lead up to the birth, other than keep throwing treats at her and pray for the best?" You get your man Roberto Esquivel Cabrera to just hook it out.
Yeah, in a heartbeat. He wants some tips and tricks, does he?
Yeah, so for a first time parent, what would your advice be?
I think if your child is showing any kind of like annoyance or aggravation or something, go straight to an osteopath. I think it's almost like an MOT for a newborn baby, and an osteopath can look at and fix things and give you exercises to work on a child and make sure it's 100%. I would just enjoy every moment and try and, like people say, Joe, in the build up to a baby come, they're all, get all the sleep you can now, as if that's not going to change anything. Do you mean that's just not going to make you tired that day?
Yes.
The baby's still going to come in a couple of sleepless nights. You're going to be tired. I think just accept that you're going to be tired. It's a storm. Just ride the storm, and just enjoy every second with your wee lovely family. And
also take time to yourself when you can, and don't feel guilty about it. We're bad for that.
It's almost impossible though, isn't it?
Oh, nightmare. But my advice to any new parents would be, it is tough. It's one of the toughest things you'll ever do, but at the same time, it's the best.
You're also talking about that guy's dick, aren't you?
Yeah, it is. Like, as a renowned biter of dicks, I just can imagine the pain in my jaw trying to...
Jaws couldn't bite that dick?
Oh, no. Like, Jaws would look at it, you know, he put those cables in Brazil. He'd be like, nah, I can't. I could just gnaw it, you know. Maybe that's the archetype, like the arch nemesis to Jaws, just Big Roberto Esquivel Cabrera. The worst body name ever. But yeah, you know what you could do to help your... Here's one. Try to not complain. That's a lesson I learned. Yeah. And also ask lots of questions. And like, do you need anything? What can I do for you? What would make you feel better? give me a heads up. Just communicate.
Remember, you're a team, you and your partner too. It's not tit for tat. It's not, but you got to sleep to 7 yesterday. Do you know what I mean? Just work together.
That's a good shout, because that you can get into the habit of that and being like, why did this, I did that. It's not a competition, it's a team.
Yeah.
And you know, I often say that Catherine's the Thierry Henry of my team, or the Zinedine Zidane, you know, and I'm the Deschamps. I'm the water carrier. The guy does all the shit that nobody appreciates.
Yeah.
But it's worth doing.
They'll appreciate it someday.
Yeah, whenever he's a fucking World Cup winning captain and coach. Huh?
Exactly.
Yeah, John Joe says, whoa, yo, Big Papa Pump, think of this cute question like who would you invite to your dream dinner party? Who would your dream training partners be if you had the chance for a one-off session? So who would you like to train with, whether it be in the gym, boxing, running, whatever?
Do you know who? What do you call him? Hall of Famer Chuck Liddell.
Oh, the Iceman?
The Iceman, Chuck Liddell. I got into MMA probably about fucking 15 years ago.
As long as I've known you, you've been into it.
Yeah, and I watched it when people had it recorded on VHS and handed round like schoolmates and stuff. That's when I got into it, which is weird because 15 years ago I was 25. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I remember watching Chuck Liddell versus Tito Ortiz.
Yeah.
And that's
what was he called? Something Long Beach Bad Boy or something like?
Yeah, Long Beach. Was it Bad Boy?
You keep telling us and I'm going to find it out.
And yeah, I think Chuck Liddell's just he's one of the first people I think of when I think of like old school MMA and the early days of the UFC, and he was one of the ones that almost like put it on the map. And I just think, you know, even though he's probably in his 60s now and he's probably got every ailment going, I think he'd be a pretty cool guy to learn from.
Tito Ortiz is only a 49-year-old. Huntington Beach Bad Boy. That's who he was called.
Yeah. Used to go out with Jenna Jameson for years, didn't
I think so, yeah. Jenna Jameson is a model and actress, you'd say.
Yeah. Adult actress?
Well, yeah.
Never seen anything she's done, but apart from Tito Ortiz.
Let's see. Jenna Jameson is an American businesswoman, writer, television personality. Writer.
Oh, writer.
Yeah. And former pornographic film actress. Okay. She's been called the Queen of Porn, and she's 49 too.
She's 49 as well?
Yeah. So
what about you? What reverse question?
It's very hack to say this, but Arnold, I
thought you were going to say Jean-Claude.
No, Arnold's always the guy for me. They'd just be brilliant to train with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Naked, the start of Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Wasn't it Terminator 2 or Terminator 1?
Both of them, where he just appears in a bubble. I'm a cybernetic organism. Yeah. But just the thought of like you're struggling to do a rep and just to hear the real Arnold go, come on. You'd be like, yeah, your face, that's fucking life made. But yeah, him.
Did you read his book? You were I'm
reading his book.
Mid-read.
I'm still haven't finished it yet. Because I'm behind in my books now. I've another one lined up, but I'm still reading it.
That's what I want to do more of, is read. Yeah. I just struggle to find good books.
But you know what? Just grab a couple.
I know.
You know, go on to Amazon, find a few.
That's how I ended up in prison.
But yeah, look, it's I have a big list of them, but I actually need to really get through this Arnold book.
I'm a big fan of people who go off and live in the wilderness, and like,
I'm going to buy you a book.
Please do.
And I'm going to give it to you.
Send me a link and I'll get it on Kindle.
Right.
Or whatever it is, the tablet that I have at home.
There's a book I want to read. I'll ask you this next question. I'm going to find this book. Okay. Find his book.
Did I tell you about Andre Agassi's book?
You did.
Did you buy it or did you read it?
Buddy, because I still haven't finished Arnold's yet. And this is my problem. I will not do anything until I've finished the one
I bought it about 2 weeks before Wimbledon and fucking destroyed it in a couple of days, and then I was just like...
And you're like, fuck, I wish I'd just read it.
Should have just read it. Why did I not? And then I loved Wimbledon then. Just I watched loads of games. Yeah. But it's just not like me. I'm not a big tennis fan, but I'm a fan of fellow creatives and fellow sportsmen like ourselves. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
athletes.
People who have came from nothing and got to the top, and I like kind of getting a wee insight into their mindset and things like that.
Do you find like parallels between other like careers?
All of them. That's when I had my own podcast and I was interviewing boxers and MMA fighters and singers, and it's like we're all the same. We're all solo businesses. We're all self-employed people who are just trying to find a place for ourselves and make a name for ourselves in a saturated world of fellow creatives.
Because that's why, like, I see a lot of it. Like, I was listening to Chris Jericho's podcast there for a while. I don't at the minute, but I did probably a year or two ago. Like, when you interview and he speaks to the wrestlers, you're like, that's the exact same business model of a career as a comedian.
100%.
You know, you're just
They're
individual
all the
guys
same.
who have to do, you know, and it's...
And wrestlers especially, because when you think about them, they're characters, and they're trying to create characters that people can relate to and buy into, and then buy their merchandise, and then watch their pay-per-views that they're on, so that they get bigger, and the WWE or WWF at the time keep them on. You know, it's like it's a fucking... You can relate every single creative person into the next. No
and
matter
it's
the
like,
job.
And I also like I like to look at the struggles and the work of what people do, how they manage. You know, what people like, and I always relate to the people who, you know, lose and have failure and then have to dust themselves off and keep going and keep doing it, even though, because like it happens in this, like it's so, if you dealt with a setback in this world that we are in, like a lot of people don't get setbacks, but then it's about sticking in and still showing up and still getting you get all the time, and then you eventually have to just...
Boxers get that the worst. See, when a boxer comes off a loss and they're devastated and they tweet or they post on Instagram or whatever, and they're like, sorry, I've let everybody down and stuff, and you're like, they're caught up in this world that, you know, especially if they're like a boxer who fights away from home and they're in America or whatever, the other side of the world, and they've brought people with them and people have paid thousands of pounds to come out and watch them. People are going for a piss up in the sport one of their own, but I mean, a loss is nothing. Imagine a football team going on like that. Do you know what I mean?
But like, I think I remember
all the best football teams get beat a couple of times a year. I
think I had Tyrone McKenna on the pod one time, and he was telling me that, I think for a camp maybe, or was it McConnell maybe, but it was something like a decent whack of money you're paying for like the team to come over, the coaches, this you're putting all this in, you're paying them, and then if you win, you know, that means more money again for them and all next time. But if you lose, because you're an independent, like you're not a part of a team, you don't have a guaranteed wage, you get paid off the back of the fights and what are made, and everything comes out. It's like you could be going there, you could be out money going to a fight if you, and it's like that pressure you have.
Plus you're away from your family for a couple of months.
Like, you know, it's such a sacrifice.
You're eating so healthily, you're weight cutting in the build up to the fight, which makes you probably miserable and grumpy, and it just fucks with your whole body too and your mind, and I don't envy it, but I'm very much looking forward to the comedians boxing. I cannot wait. It's going to be class. I love it. Every fight I look at, I'm all like, oh, it's going to be a great fight. And then I'm like, oh, that's going to be a great fight. That's going to be a great fight.
But you know what? It's going to be a great night for a great cause. What was I going to look at? Book. Dom says, love the pod as always. Dave, question for you both. Who inspired your style of comedy, if anybody? Also, with both your teams well in title race this season, how do you see it panning out? I pray Arsenal pull it out of the bag. So who's your inspiration in comedy, or what's...
I don't really have one. I obviously used to watch quite a lot of like Tim Vine and stuff like that, and I suppose I've got some kind of inspiration to him to kind of find my own path, but I've always thrived on not being comparable, if you know what I mean. Or it's a word, isn't it?
Yeah.
Comparable?
Yeah.
Like I've always wanted to sort of mould my own kind of style of comedy that no one can replicate.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's why I do like all the keyboard stuff and all in the way too, where it's like trying to find something that's just a wee bit wacky and a wee bit different, and being silly. I know a lot of like you guys do stories and they're very funny, and they're sometimes like a lot of stand up like solo shows you can see where people finish the gig on like a really strong message to the public and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And you can change lives and change people's minds with things like that. But I feel like with my style of comedy, what I wanted and what probably almost comedy was for me when I used to watch it, was that it was an opportunity to just switch off from your everyday life and just watch something silly, and it just didn't have to make sense, it didn't have to go anywhere, it was just silly fun. And I feel like that's what I've tried to put into my own stand-up style over the past maybe 5-10 years.
And are there any individual comedians you would like look to at all?
Tim
I remember
Vine,
Tim Vine. Didn't you meet Tim Vine at the Fringe? And that was a nice time.
I was actually, there was a podcast, I think, was it Sean Walsh and somebody had a podcast?
Why did you just said your own podcast? I think Sean Hegarty did it.
Sean Walsh and somebody else had a podcast at the Fringe one year about 6 or 7 years ago, maybe not even that long. And I was like, fuck, I'm going to go in. It was like a free ticket, and Tim Vine was their guest, and
Yeah.
I was just going to anything Tim Vine was doing basically. And you got to ask them a question, but my question was one of one-liners that I'd written.
Yeah.
And I asked, or then they read the question out, and Tim Vine was like, "That's fucking brilliant. That's amazing." And I was like, "That's mine." And this it was a live podcast, so it was being recorded. And then they talked to me for a couple of minutes, and I was like, "Oh, I'm a comedian as well, one-liners and stuff like this here," and had a good sort of back and forth with Tim Vine. And then after the episode, it was like 5 minutes to go, and they looked down at their machine. They were like, "Oh, this stopped recording after 20 minutes." And I was like, "For fuck's sake, Joe!" Like that was my moment with Tim Vine.
Yeah.
But then I talked to him after and got a wee photo together, and he was holding a wee loaf and stuff, which was weird, like a wee loaf of Vita or something.
You know what he's doing after the gig? Like that's how you know comedy's wild. He's like, I'm just going home for a wee bit of toasted Vita. Which I mean, tell you what, I love that now.
Vita's lovely, isn't it? And toasted too.
Yeah, toasted Vita with real butter.
Yeah. Who's your inspiration?
I don't know. Like I really don't know. I don't know what the fuck I do this for. You know, it's like I don't remember looking at anybody ever going, I'd like to do that. Like I always wanted to be a wrestler when I was a kid. You know, I was always like, I want to be in WrestleMania. But
do you think you could still pursue that, or you could still?
No, far too old now to shape. But
don't be silly.
But you know what? Nah. I love. I've always loved comedy, and I always, as long as I can remember, watching comedy, watching sitcoms, watching stuff like Father Ted's probably one of the earliest things. Even The Simpsons, you're watching as a kid. Like I always loved that, and like, but stand up, it's weird because like whenever I started doing comedy with sketches, it was like I always say it was you, Shane, and Mickey at the Fringe were like, you should do stand up. I was like, I don't know. I was always afraid of doing it, and then here we are.
Diona was like that too.
Yeah.
Diona took years of convincing, and I says to her, I was like, she did a best woman speech at her friend's wedding and fucking killed the room, like, and
they didn't like it.
No, she murdered them all. She killed them.
And then I came and bit their dicks. Other thick flaps.
And then I says to her one day, I was like, you like, she was just fucking thriving to be an actress. It's all she wanted, and it's all she thought about. And I was like, but if you got a casting through and you had to be a stand-up comedian, would you not do the casting? And she goes, oh, I'd do it in a heartbeat. And I was also, you would do stand-up? I was like, what are you afraid of? And she was like, oh, just something that I've written, not getting a laugh. And I was like, so don't write shite then, write funny stuff, Joe. Just
I love that as an advice. Just be good.
Just be funny. It's that easy. But then, because I knew she had written scripts with FNT Live and stuff with all you guys, and I was like, Joe, she's a naturally funny person, and she's so bright and intelligent, and she's a constant like student, always learning and always trying to get better and stuff.
Mine's just like dumb.
Dull. And look, she's fucking flying.
To me, I always think like if you see new acts or like people who are like just starting, a lot of it always starts with like good material, like, or a lot of it starts with the material. It's like good material yet, but then the stuff that you get as you go on is like stage presence and confidence. I remember the first time I saw Diona, I was like, she's got the stage presence. Like that's the stuff that is the hardest part to come by.
She can learn her material inside out in no time because she has an actor's brain. Do you know what I mean? She learns lines for a living, so everything just aligned, and it was like, this is perfect. Do you know what I mean?
And you know what? I'm actually doing support for her on last Thursday. It'll be, but this Thursday.
Banger.
Yeah. And I am going to hang about to watch the show.
No, I'm saying banger when you're there.
All right. Nah, she doesn't take me.
Go for it.
But I'm actually looking forward to hanging back and watching that one. You know, like you go to gigs and have one. I'm like, no. And I was saying that I was chatting to Aaron. He was in yesterday, and I was just saying to him that it's one that you're like, I'll look forward to seeing the show. You know, because there's some shows like you got your mates are maybe doing it. They're maybe at different stages of life, and you're like, with all the respect in the world, you're like, I don't give a fuck about that guy's opinion. You know, I don't care what he's got to say. I don't know. Oh, and then I was doing it, and I was like taking these hallucinogenics, and I was feeling all this fucking, what's it, not even testosterone. I was feeling all these endorphins, and I was feeling all this, what's that other thing called, cortisol? I don't fucking know. Like, get a life. Go and fucking stick a dishwasher on top. Tell me about stuff I want to hear. You know, whereas Diona, I'm like, I want to see that show. Parenting. Yes, this is it. Yeah.
And she's like a mathematician, Joe, like with a fucking whiteboard or a chalk on a board, and she's just constantly like figuring out how everything works and the mechanics of comedy, and she's put so much into it, and she's like doing things that I can't even comprehend, and I've been doing this near, I think, 16 years now.
Well, you know, I'll give some advice to listeners. So you're speaking about whiteboards. Look at my whiteboard. What do you see on it?
Where is it?
Right there.
Behind here.
What do you see?
Nothing.
Correct.
What's the advice?
Don't use
it.
It's all up here.
It's all here.
It's all up here.
What about people where it's not all up there? Use a whiteboard.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what, everything is the opposite of what you do. Last question. I think it's probably a good one to go out on. It's Rodney. Just straight up Rodney. Your alter ego is coming to get you. Are we going to see the darts on YouTube or Patreon? I'm going to say I really hope not. I
had the opportunity to get the video, and I chose not to get the video. I was like, let's just leave it as a memory. And an experience for anyone who was there.
Yeah.
And let's just all move on with our
day.
But
you know what? I think that's an important thing. And I think we should encourage things like that. So for whenever you have nights like the darts, we go, you have to be there. You have to be there. This will not be...
Yeah. Do you want to see what it's all about? Buy tickets to the next one. There probably won't be a next one, but there'll be something. Yeah.
I've said it before, I want to do the Comedians Full Monty. I want to fill out the waterfront. That's my goal. I want to get my dick out in front of 1,000 people. That's it. And then give the money to, I don't know.
What? Your guy to get a reduction?
Yeah. Just get him in and knock out the whole front row. It's like fucking Godzilla. Yeah. Listen, Sean, if anything you want to plug, point the people in direction of, where can they find you? What's going on?
Meet the Parents podcast is on YouTube, Spotify, and everywhere else. I'm on Instagram. Give me a wee follow. We've got a show, Sunny Side Up, that my wife Diona has written and is the only star of. It's a one-woman show about
eggs,
about family and trying to get pregnant and things like that. So it's in the Lyric Theatre from the 4th to the 20th, I think I've got that right, of April. Lyric Theatre tickets right now, and tickets are also out for Sex and the City Hall, which we have written, which will be out in its turn in September, and it's out in October. And I have a joke book as well. It's out in July the 4th worldwide in many different languages.
There you go.
And we have a Christmas show as well in the Grand Opera House. Tickets are on sale now. It's in everything.
I want the Cantonese copy of your book, please.
You'll have to get a cruise to the Indian Ocean to get that.
Yeah, see me in France. Bonsoir. Pleasure.
Au revoir.
I'm the sly guy.